Hello everybody, this is Carla, and this time I'm here to do a review for the season finale of the 20th anniversary X-Files revival season. This episode is titled My Struggle Too. And I think that not only for myself, but really the intended reaction the creators had for this episode, and they knew exactly what they were doing and what reaction they wanted to get from their audience. So I pretty much think I'm not alone when I say the first thing I thought when this episode ended and the credits started rolling was, what the effing hell? It's like, you're just gonna end it there? Seriously? Are you seriously serious? Like, what? What were you thinking? In the good way. I mean, I like the way it ended, but just how evil do you have to be? I mean, seriously, if you people weren't like ready to jump on a plane so you could go wherever Chris Carter lives and just shake him until he tells you what happened next, if you don't feel that way, then you're watching this thing wrong, man. Like, are you... I can't even believe... I mean, I totally believe they did that because it's Carter we're talking about. He does stuff like that, but still, that's just mean, dude. Oh, I mean, I should talk about the rest of the episode before I talk about the ending, but just that ending, man. It's like, okay, just announce the next season, okay? We're ready for it. Just announce that it's coming at some time, at some point of next year, hopefully, or closer. I won't get mad if it comes closer, but just announce that there will be another season of this thing, because you can't just leave us like that. You can't. That's just evil. As for the rest of the episode, though, I actually quite liked it. I think I liked it more than the first, because this is my struggle too, so it's kind of the direct continuation of the first episode of the season. And I actually quite liked it. I liked it more, to be honest. That's not to say there weren't some things that I really went like, what? Because, yeah, there were some things that I didn't quite like, but I think overall as a whole, I liked it more because there was just more tension to it. There was more of a frantic energy to it. It felt like if you missed a scene, then you might have missed something crucial, and just this whole feeling that stuff was happening all the time stuff was happening. So I quite like that, and I like that they didn't necessarily completely discredit the idea of the alien DNA. They used it, they went with it, but at the same time, this was a human conspiracy. So I like that aspect, because I like the idea of it being humans who were behind all this stuff. I mean, not necessarily all this stuff. Like, I would hope that some unexplained things from the show still remain unexplained, but just, I like the idea of this whole human conspiracy. Because that's what the X-Files is. It deals in conspiracies, right? That's what the show is all about. So I like that idea. I like that it wasn't just little green man kidnapping people left and right. It was people. Because people can be jerks, and they can be evil, and they can be completely wrong about stuff and insist they are right. So I believe a conspiracy from people. Human beings are just like that. So I really like that. I love seeing Einstein and Miller. I love the two of them. They're great. And I would watch whatever amount of episodes you want to give me with them. I will watch them all. Like seeing Joel McHale back, because his character is interesting. I quite like him in that character, honestly. And even though he can be a little bit creepy at times, I think it works for the character. What else? Oh! Reyes is back! I love it! I mean, I was never the biggest fan of Reyes. I was always more into Doggett for some reason. Like, I really like Doggett. But Reyes is back, and I love that they are, actually going back to continuity, and it's not just like, oh, here's Mulder and Scully, here, be happy. No, this thing is part of the story. It's part of all the episodes that we saw in the past, that we watched in the past, and those are still important because they're still defining things that are happening now. So I quite like seeing Ray is back. Not quite happy to see that she's kind of working for the cigarette smoking man now, I guess. But I like that she's back. I like that they've linked it to previous happenings. I love that we've got to see cigarette smoking man again, because seriously, they had him in the first episode and then nothing, and then now we're back to it, so it's good to see him back. And just I'm glad they didn't bring Sveta, was her name. I didn't care for her. I mean, she was okay, but I thought her story kind of ended already, so I didn't see her. So yeah, there were a lot of things that I really liked in this episode. I liked that the science, I mean, obviously it was all pseudoscience for actual people outside the fictional world. But I like that they attempted to, make it sound like it makes sense. That's kind of the thing with sci-fi. It's like some things you just can't make sense because science just doesn't get that far or hasn't been proven that far. But you can at least attempt it, and then, if you do it confidently enough, I will buy it. So I like that the whole, they went through like the Scully and Einstein. I'm so glad that they actually got to kind of work together in this episode, because in the previous episode it was all like Miller and Scully and then Einstein and Mulder. But I like that kind of Scully and Einstein got to work together because they're both the rational types. So they, now that Scully's more of a believer, it makes sense to have the skeptic like right beside her. That was interesting. To see her switch roles like that, and I really like Einstein. And when they got to talking about, copying DNA and how it happens with certain proteins that kind of inhibit certain genes from being copied, that's all true, technically speaking. I mean, obviously nobody has alien DNA in their genome, at least that we know of, but like the process itself it's actually, that's the way science works, that's the way your body works. So it was kind of cool to see. I mean, I guess all my biochemistry lessons weren't for nothing, even though I kind of hated them, but it was nice to hear something I recognized, so something that actually made sense. And having them steep this alien DNA thing in something that is actual reality, kind of makes it a bit more easier to swallow. That said, there were still some things that I didn't like. I mean, they're mostly things I can forgive because the episode made me so, excited. Like, I found the episode to be really exciting. But there are still some things that I look back on and think about, and I'm like, okay, maybe I don't buy that. One of those things is just Scully. I like the fact that she kind of switched roles in this, and she was kind of the believer, but she believed way too fast, man. I mean, she was talking about this quote-unquote alien DNA being some kind of suppressant for the immune system. She was talking about this before even one person got sick. I mean, before Anthrax Dude made his appearance, she had already mentioned this. And I'm like, how the heck did she know that? Did she just assume that's how they would go? Did Joe McHale's character somehow imply that at some point and I just missed it? Because all of a sudden she seemed completely sure that it would have something to do with the immune system, and that it had something to do with the smallpox vaccine, and nobody had even gotten sick. It's like, what? Then people started getting sick and they proved her right, but I still can't forget that at the beginning she already knew what was happening somehow. Speaking of Joel McHale and stuff that I missed, he did tell Scully at one point that he had his own blood tested and it turned out that he had alien DNA, right? So why did he get sick then? Was he just, making something up to get Scully's attention? Did that doctor, whomever who was speaking to him, lie to him? I didn't really get it. I just thought it was weird that he suddenly started getting sick, because he said he was one of the chosen ones, didn't he? Like, he said that he had the alien DNA, so in theory, he shouldn't be getting sick. I didn't the science stuff and the whole alien DNA thing kept me interested because of the science, but at the same time, I could see how somebody who's not as into science as me would think that this episode was a lot of talky, and not as much action. Because, really, a lot of the most interesting conversations for me were the ones I just said, between Scully and Einstein, but I can see where somebody might be like, oh, they're just talking, and then another scene and they keep talking, and then there's another scene and they keep talking. I could see that sort of like outside my own brain. I could see why somebody would think that, so I would have hoped that it was a little less exposition-y and more stuff happening. My other complaint is that Miller didn't really do much of anything in this episode. I mean, yeah, he went to find Mulder, which was kind of a big deal because, come on, the man is missing and nobody even attempted to track his phone. Like, really, there are apps for that, And apparently Miller was the only one who realized that, because then he looked at the app. It wasn't even an idea that he had, like, hey, maybe we should track Mulder's phone. No, he just happened to come across it on the computer, which is kind of stupid, because really, what kind of age are we living in? Mulder's not answering his phone. Maybe he's been kidnapped. Maybe you want to track his phone to see if he's okay, or if he's still even, like, in the state. So, it felt kind of dumb that nobody even thought of that. I did not like the fact that the cigarette smoking man kind of brought up the idea that, oh, well, the world is already going to end as it is because humans are destroying it, so I might as well just kill them all and try to make things better for the world. Seriously, are you trying to pull an Ultron on me? Are you kidding me? No, you're not doing this for the benefit of the world. You're not trying to save humanity, dude. You just want power. So I felt almost kind of insulted that he would try to, pull that card in Mulder, because it's like, no. And it kind of, I hate that it kind of turns him into a generic villain, because how many times has that been done? Since the time of Noah, you have that one being or that one person who wants to destroy the world and start anew in the right way. Seriously, you're trying to pull that card on me? No, I don't like it. I would rather see him being freaking evil and want to, like, kill people for no reason other than it gives him a power trip. I would love that. Just don't try to pull the whole, the world is rotten and we must start from scratch card. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit you. So I didn't like that one. But in general, like, I think those are most of my complaints that I have. But I really enjoyed the pace of the episode. I really enjoyed the way the characters were handled. I love that Mulder just wouldn't give in. I love that. And he was just like, okay, Scully's is gonna be fine. She's not gonna get infected, so it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna do what this man wants me to do. I'm just gonna die as long as Scully lives. That's fine by me. I like that. Again, like I said, I loved that Scully kind of got to play the believer card for once. The fight scene at Mulder's place was amazing. Okay, it kind of made me think because I watched this other show called Shadowhunters and on Freeform, and their choreography is one of the points of contention I have with that show every other episode, and it just goes to show that the X-Files with like one fight scene can do something really freaking amazing, while Shadowhunters has been on for like over 6 episodes now, and I have not seen one amazing fight scene from them. So it just goes to show where you put your emphasis, like where you put your budget, because choreography in this fight between Mulder and that other dude was fantastic. I really loved that whole scene. I mean, who would have thought that David Duchovny could still pull that kind of stuff up? I know they have stunt doubles, whatever. It still felt like Duchovny. So, I mean, I just thought the whole sequence was intense and very intricate. And there's a moment where Mulder hits that one guy with the chair, and the chair just kind of breaks into pieces, and one of the pieces just kind of flies almost straight into the camera. I thought that was very good. I mean, obviously that wasn't on purpose, I don't think. I don't think they can actually plan that far. But it made me smile because it felt like an actual fight, like something that was really happening. So I really like that. And again, I like the idea that their kid is the only way to save Mulder, because I really want to see their damn kid, okay? Even if I have to wait a year now, season 2, next season of this better happen, because I want to see the damn kid. That reminds me of another thing I didn't quite like, because Scully is like, oh, the fact that I get to pass on my genes to my child means that I can use his blood to save Mulder, or his stem cells to save Mulder. And I was like, how sure are you that your alien DNA actually passed on to your child? Like, whenever you have a child, your DNA splits in 2. I don't know how much you people who are just listening to this actually know biology, but your DNA splits in 2. Like, your child only gets 50% of your genes. It doesn't necessarily mean that he will get the alien genes. Maybe alien genes don't work that way. Maybe alien genes can't get duplicated into, eggs or sperm. Maybe that doesn't happen. Like, even somebody, for say, like eye color, if you have blue eyes, you have like 25% of your child having blue eyes or something like that, depending on whether it's recessive or dominant. But still, it's like, how are you so sure that your kid will have your alien genes and you can use his stem cells to save Mulder? It might just be an exercise in futility. You go, you find your kid, and it does nothing because he doesn't have any alien DNA. It could be. I mean, he could. It's worth a try, I guess. But she sounded so sure, that kind of made me pause. Like, what if the kid doesn't have the alien DNA now? What are you gonna do, Scully? What are you gonna do? Still, like, I can't even imagine how she, made an antidote. Like, she injected the alien DNA through the IV, and she basically, took one little sample from her mouth and somehow duplicated it in, less than a day, so that you would have enough to cure people around the hospital. Okay, that doesn't happen. I can't give her a pass, because, again, the pace of the episode was kind of going, so you couldn't really be like, and she waited 30 days for the new antidote to be made from her own blood sample, because that doesn't happen in one day. I can give her a pass though, because the pace of the episode was so frenetic that you can't really do anything about it. Another thing that I didn't like is that the car thing she steals a car or takes a car from someone, and she goes to find Mulder and Miller, and she's going like over the curb and like in between cars and on the opposite lane and whatever, and it just took too freaking long. If it had been like a car chase or something where you have to go really fast, I wouldn't have minded it being too long, but then it's just like her like looking out the window and being like, move, move. I'm like, this took too long. You could have just had her run. She would have gotten there eventually. But I mean, overall, just the fact that the episode kept pushing me to want to see what happened next, and just the way the characters were portrayed, the way the mythology was like brought in from like all the original seasons of the show into here, and like written into a cohesive story, even though it was kind of reaching at some points with the science and all, but I don't mind. I liked it in general. The only thing that I can really say that I liked it, but I don't want it to be used wrong, because again, this show it deals in conspiracies, so a lot of the times you will see like people online or even in real life using things that have been said in this show as proof that there is an actual conspiracy about whether it be aliens or, I don't know, 9/11, anything. You can see people using those same arguments they use in the show as kind of proof of a conspiracy. And the one thing I don't want in this episode to be misused. I mean, usually I don't mind, but there's one thing I don't want in this episode to be misused, is the idea that vaccines can be used to inject, well, alien DNA, but really anything into your body. Because I think there's already a large enough, group of people who think that vaccines are bad. I don't want this episode to actually give them license to think it's okay not to vaccinate your kids, because people, if you're really watching this episode, you will see that, okay, maybe they hint at the idea that the smallpox vaccine was kind of adulterated in order to inject this alien DNA or inject this, I don't know, immune suppressant or whatever. Maybe. But clearly, if you don't vaccinate your kids, they won't even have any sort of protection. Because remember, this anti-immune system agent had to be activated. So, these people spend their entire lives with strong immune systems until that moment that it was activated. If you don't vaccinate your kids, your kid is never going to have, it's not going to live all his life without any problems, because vaccines are important and they actually work. So, and then they don't, create autism. So please, if you ever thought one conspiracy in this show might be true, let it not be the vaccination one, because vaccines are important, so vaccinate your kids. That's as much as I can say. Like, even if they at one point run the risk of having, some gene activated that might actually let them get sick, if you don't vaccinate them, they will get sick anyway. So please, just don't use that conspiracy as like this. Don't use this plotline as a support for some conspiracy that might only make this worse. Okay, vaccinate your kids. But yeah, overall, like I said, I like this episode. There are some things that I feel are a stretch, and really the more I think about them, the more they kind of bug me. But at the same time, I feel that the episode was just so good in terms of of character development and pace and just the mythology, bringing back things from the past and having them still make sense for the context of this episode. I thought that was really good. So that, for the most part, made me really like the episode. I really enjoyed it more than maybe the previous ones that we had. So overall, I think I really liked the episode, and that ending, man, that ending killed me. It killed me. And I'm sure most of you are feeling the same way, so I can't wait for them to actually announce that there's going to be another season, hopefully. I mean, I am crossing all of my fingers and all my toes for that announcement to come soon. Hopefully, it will include Einstein and Miller, because I love them. I really love them. But really, Chris Carter, you don't leave us hanging like that, okay? Please, just confirm it. Confirm that there will be another season, because that would be the worst ending to a TV show ever if you just left us hanging there forever. And I want to see the damn kid, so please give me another season. And I've been going on about this episode for so long, but hey, it was a finale. I guess it deserves talking about it a lot. So I'm just gonna cut it here and just say, be sure to visit our website, thegeekypub.com. We have reviews not just for the previous episodes of The X-Files, but also for other TV shows, books, movies, games. We have a ton of stuff in there, so be sure to check it out. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that's usually where our reviews go up first. Even before they hit the website, they're usually up on YouTube. So if you don't want to miss anything, you'll have to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that's it from me now. I'm sorry that this is so long. I just get really excited about the show. But that's it from me now. I will see you guys in my next review. Bye.